The hospital hallway was silent, but not peaceful. The kind of silence that carries weight, like something is about to break. The fluorescent lights flickered above as Olivia Carter stood frozen outside room 312, her trembling hand hovering over the door handle. Inside was a patient she was never supposed to care about. And yet, every night, she found herself coming back. Believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing, even when it's against the rules. Take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this deserve to be heard. Olivia had worked the night shift at St. Augustine Medical Center in Chicago for nearly 4 years. She was known for her discipline, her calm under pressure, and her ability to follow protocol without question. Rules were what kept patients safe, what kept chaos from swallowing the fragile order of life and death. But everything changed the night Jacob Hayes was admitted. Jacob wasn't just any patient. He arrived under strict instructions, minimal interaction, no unnecessary care beyond standard procedures, and absolutely no emotional involvement. He had been transferred from a correctional facility after a serious injury, his files stamped with warnings that made most staff keep their distance. Rumors spread quickly. Some said he had a violent past, others claimed he had done something unforgivable. Olivia never asked. She just followed the rules. At first. But on her third shift assigned to his floor, something shifted. As she passed his room, she heard it, a faint broken sound. Not anger, not pain exactly, but something deeper, a quiet kind of despair. She paused, knowing she shouldn't go in. It wasn't part of her assigned duties, but her feet moved anyway. Jacob lay there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling like he was waiting for something that would never come. His injuries were severe, but it wasn't his physical state that struck Olivia. It was the emptiness in his expression. The kind of emptiness that doesn't come from pain, but from being forgotten. That night she broke her first rule. She stepped inside, adjusted his blanket, checked his IV, and stayed longer than she should have. He didn't say much, and neither did she. But something passed between them. Something quiet, something human. Night after night she returned. At first it was small things, bringing him an extra pillow, making sure his medication was administered on time, even when it wasn't strictly her responsibility. Then it became more. She would sit by his bedside during her breaks, listening as he slowly began to speak. Not about his past, never that, but about small things. The way he used to watch the sunrise from a rooftop in Boston, the sound of rain on metal, the feeling of being invisible in a world that had already judged him. Olivia knew she was crossing a line. The hospital had clear policies, and her supervisor had already warned staff about maintaining professional distance, but something inside her refused to let go. She saw something in Jacob that others didn't, or maybe didn't want to see, a person. As weeks passed, Jacob began to change. His recovery accelerated, not just physically but emotionally. He smiled more, he spoke more. The emptiness in his eyes slowly gave way to something softer, something hopeful, and Olivia, she found herself looking forward to her shifts in a way she never had before. But rules have consequences. One night, as Olivia sat by Jacob's bed, reading quietly while he slept, the door suddenly opened. Her supervisor stood there, eyes sharp with disbelief. The silence that followed was heavier than any she had ever felt. The next morning, Olivia was called into administration. They didn't yell. They didn't need to. The disappointment in their voices was enough. She had violated protocol, formed an inappropriate connection, and ignored direct orders. Her actions, they said, could not be overlooked. She was suspended. Walking out of the hospital that day, Olivia felt like she had lost everything. Her career, her purpose, and Jacob. She didn't know what would happen to him now. Whether he would be transferred again, or simply fade back into the system that had nearly erased him before. Days turned into weeks. And then, one afternoon, there was a knock at her apartment door. Olivia hesitated before opening it. And when she did, her breath caught. Jacob stood there. He looked different, stronger, healthier. But it was his eyes that truly changed. They weren't empty anymore. They were alive. He had been discharged days earlier, he explained. And the first thing he did was find her. Not because he needed help, but because he needed to say something he had never said before, that she had saved him. Not just his life, but the part of him that had stopped believing he deserved one. Olivia felt tears rise, not from sadness, but from something deeper, something that felt like meaning. They didn't rush into anything. Life wasn't suddenly perfect. There were still challenges, judgment from others, uncertainty about the future, and the weight of everything they had both been through. But they faced it together, because sometimes the most important things in life don't come from following rules. They come from breaking them for the right reasons. If this story touched your heart, don't just scroll away. Like, comment, and share it with someone who believes in second chances and the power of compassion. And before this story ends, here's something special. Comment below. Kindness changes lives. If you believe one small act can make a big difference. Olivia eventually found her way back into nursing, in a different hospital under different circumstances. But she never forgot what she learned in room 312, that healing isn't just about medicine, it's about connection, courage, and sometimes choosing humanity over rules. And as for Jacob, he didn't just recover, he rebuilt, not alone, but with the one person who saw him not as a mistake, but as a man worth saving.